Hey guys, Dan the Fish Tank Projects, and I've done a few little updates and tweaks to the tank today, so I figured I'd make a new video. And the big one was changing the way I do my auto top off. So previously I had a 5-gallon jug with a float valve that just gravity fed into the sump, and that did work pretty well. However, I found myself filling it far too often, which was becoming a bit of a pain. So I got rid of my jug today, and I installed a 15-gallon jug I ordered online from Uline. And this nice big canister sits right here. Now, one of the interesting problems or issues I had is because previously my jug was sitting up here. Take this out of the way. It was sitting right here, and it gravity fed via that float valve. Super simple, but it worked very effectively. Now, with the tank over here, if you can see, the sump level is about this high, and that's only about halfway up the tank. So if I was using just my regular float valve, it would gravity feed, and about halfway down the tank it would stop flowing. So I'd only get about 7 out of the 15 gallons that the tank holds. So what I did to combat that is I ran the water line to a float valve. There's my float valve. And so it's powerless, 100% natural gravity feed for the first 7 or so gallons. And for the second 7 gallons, there's a float switch. So if you look just behind the pump back here, if I can see it, there is a little float switch behind it. And what that float switch does is it powers an aqua lifter. So once it's no longer filling naturally and the water drops down that extra little bit, it'll turn on the float switch, which turns on the little aqua lifter pump, and that will pump water out. Now inside of the barrel, it goes into my little mini bulkhead, and there is a clear acrylic tube that goes all the way to the bottom of the tank. So it is drawing from the bottom. I might not be able to see it in there. You can kind of see the tube. So this is sucking from about an inch off the bottom of the tank, and so it works great for gravity. And this is a little float valve I'm going to put in for topping it off. I just got to get an adapter to plug in our RO line. In the past, I've overflowed my buckets multiple times, so I've slowly learned my lesson. And I'm putting float valves as kind of safeties on everything. So when I top it off, I'm working, I forget about it, it won't really matter, it won't overflow. So this is tucked away, hidden nicely behind the chair. No one even knows it's there. I got a power wire, my little RO line running back over here. The power goes to the apex, and the breakout box has that little float switch which I programmed to turn on when the little float falls down. So this will, and it also works as kind of a backup if for some reason the float switch buggered up. When the aqua lifter kept pumping it in, the float valve would cut it off if it did too much. So it's kind of a dual safety got going on there. So one other nice benefit is look at all the space it freed up, which is going to be awesome. It's going to be for one of my new projects, which I'll do a video on shortly, but it is my DIY calc stir. So here's my creation that I've built. I just siliconed it today. I actually used a Uniseal, which worked great. However, I got a little chip in the edge of the glass when I was doing it, so I siliconed it. So I'm going to let it dry overnight before I do the video and actually test her out and play with it. Yeah, so that was what I think was a fairly clever way to do the auto top off. One thing I also did, I ran one line over from the barrel, which will gravity feed, and it splits. So one head goes into the dose, and so one line goes up and one comes down. So the gravity feed will come all the way up and go back down to the valve right there. And so that was partially a bit higher, so it didn't gravity feed too much. And so the dose can also suck from the same line to feed the calc stir. So I thought that was kind of a clever way to do it with my dual sensors. So hope you guys like it, and if you guys got any interesting kind of water setups where your water's partially below and partially above, it might be a good strategy to try. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe, and check out my site at fishtankprojects.com.